Well, for more on this, David Des Roches joins us from Washington. He's an associate professor at the Near East South Asia Center for Security Studies, which is based at the National Defense University. David, welcome to the program. So, a very busy time in Washington. How worried should Ukraine be about US support for Ukraine?
Not very. I mean, this is an internal spending issue. It's the people who demurred it was about balancing the budget. I think that the Ukraine was being held as kind of an example of something that needs to be offset to make a fiscal point. There will be a standalone Ukraine support bill that will probably be passed within the next 2 weeks. I think this is just another issue, and the Ukraine issue got caught up in it.
Okay, so as my colleague mentioned, $6 billion in new military aid was in question there. So you feel that that will go ahead, that won't impact Ukraine?
Yeah, that's right. I think that most of the equipment we've actually provided has been drawn down. So it's been taken out of U.S. stocks, probably not intended to be reutilized by U.S. forces. So the value of it, the replacement value of it is significant. But that stuff can continue to move. There's some training that needs to be funded, but a lot of the stuff, if need be, the administration could just direct the services to provide it. So I think that this is potentially a friction point, but I would be very, very surprised if anything were interrupted at this point.
Okay, so a friction point, you say Ukraine shouldn't be very worried, but in the heart there of Europe, we've seen Slovakia, a NATO member country that has a border with Ukraine. It's landlocked, and we've seen there an election run on a campaign saying no more military support to Ukraine. Of course, we don't know if that's going to translate that rhetoric into the actual government and see what happens there. But what do you read into this? We've got the US and Slovakia at the same time showing signs of not supporting Ukraine in the same way as before.
I don't know much about Slovakia. I know that internally, it has some positions, some political positions that are an outlier in NATO, but I suspect there's something domestic at play. The issue in the United States is a couple of things. The first one is there are a large number of the House Republicans who have called for balancing the budget. And what they want to do is get the Biden administration to scale back some of the efforts it's made both socially and budgetarily. And the Ukraine aid is caught up in that. There's also a group of people who are concerned about the southwest border. And basically what they're trying to say is, well, until you secure the southwest border, let's not move on Ukraine. But it's a very, very small group. And they're really only significant in the context of the House leaders caucus because he only has 4 people that his majority. But if the House Speaker wants to move this forward, he can easily do it because most of the Democrats will support him. So the two situations are not parallel, I think.
And David, what happens after these 45 days?
Well, if they don't come to an agreement, so this was a continuing resolution. This kicks the can down the road on funding the U.S. government. So conceivably, the government could run out of money and shut down. But if there's a standalone Ukraine aid bill passed in the interim, that bill will go forward, and the rest of the government will not. Usually when there's a shutdown, though, most of the vital services, people have to work without pay. And then when the shutdown is resolved, they get their back pay.
David Des Roches, thank you so much for your time and your analysis today. Appreciate it. Thank you.